The bulls rally like gangbusters to give us our last chance at the Santa rally. Can they continue this push to save the day? Find out next on Invest with Jacob. All right, guys, so the bulls rallied the market hard today, all but removing that deeper wave 4 retrace we've been talking about towards 43.50. Now our focus is in on the bullish count as a wave 3. However, we do still have the triangle looming. I'll get into all that in just one second. But first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard, and this is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the S&P 500. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, so with the deeper wave 4 falling off, we're tracking basically two counts. We're tracking the bullish wave 3 count, and we're also tracking the bearish triangle count that would play out in a bigger wave 4. This is best seen on the charts, so let's jump in and take a look. Okay, guys, here we are on the 1-hour futures chart. And as you can see, they rallied it pretty hard off the low, all the way up to 46.40 before slowly drifting back after hours, staying in that 46.30 to 40 range so far in the after hours time. So this rally can be viewed a few different ways, and two of them are bullish and one is bearish. So our first look at this, we could look at this high up here at 46.05 and then the pullback off of that high down here to 45.72 as waves 1 and 2, and we're starting wave 3 of 3 up. Now, if that's the case, we would expect it to blow through the mini pivot here, and it hasn't done that yet. Okay, so the mini pivot, all right, or the micro pivot, is based off of this wave 1 and 2 here. So if this truly was wave 1 and we got our wave 2 pullback, then our pivot comes in at the 0.618 and 0.764 extension of those two waves, okay, which is 46.25 essentially and 46.37. That's the pivot. So it did push through that pivot. It got all the way to 46.40, but it didn't give it what I call escape velocity, where it really pushes through and gets so far away from it, you really don't expect it to come back unless it's just to test the top and move on. So it just got through by a couple points, and then it's drifted back into the pivot for now. So if it cannot clear the pivot, okay, then it was not a 1-2 setup, because a 3 would definitely clear that pivot and keep rolling. All right. If it cannot clear the pivot, then this low to this high here at 46.40 would be wave 1 of 3, just a larger wave 1. And quite frankly, I prefer that. It fits the structure better than this smaller wave 1. And then we would have a wave 2 pullback towards this 45.92 to 45.72 area. Okay, we would expect to hold there. And then we would start wave 3 of 3 back up, and we would establish a new pivot based on this high, okay, and the low that's established in wave 2. We would just measure those two, and the new pivot would be the 618, 764 extensions of those two waves. So right now I have the pivot at the extensions of the top of this move to 46.05 down to 45.72. But if this pulls back in a wave 2, we would set the pivot from the top here at 46.40 to wherever it pulls back to, if it's 45.72 from there, and that would establish a new pivot for us to break through. So again, if it breaks through the pivot, if it moves back up from here and continues on higher, then we are calling this wave 1 and this wave 2 here on this pullback to 45.72. However, if they're unable to break through the pivot with any force and they start drifting back down, then we will view this as a larger wave 1, which I think fits the structure better, and then a bigger wave 2 back towards that 45.92 to 72 area. So those are the two bullish counts that we're looking at. The smaller 1, 2, and then the bigger 1 looking for a wave 2. All right. Now for the bearish count, it would be the triangle that we talked about yesterday. And you can see on here, okay, instead of this being smaller degree wave 4 down, it's actually the A wave of this larger degree 4 here. And we would have A down to this low, our B up here. And remember, I talked about this yesterday. This top in ES, the futures chart, this was gotten, they went and got this after hours. And so the cash market never made this high. In fact, it's a lower low here, which is what gives us the triangle setup. So the futures market and the cash market are tracking just a little bit differently, which is where this triangle setup comes from. So just remember that, why you see this spike above the triangle, which would invalidate it normally, didn't happen on the cash market. So on the cash market, this setup is still alive for our bearish count. So with that, the move off the low would be wave A, and then we get a B down and then C up, because remember, all corrective waves are moving in threes in a triangle. So we have ABC up and D. Then we would expect ABC down and E to complete the triangle over here around 45.50 and complete larger wave 4. So that's our bearish setup, is to complete the triangle. We would look for a pullback in B and then a move up in C, and then we would look for a move down in in E. Now, it'll get a little bit tricky if we get the pullback, because the pullback for B and the pullback for wave 2 of 3 will look very similar. So what we'll look for is a move above the next pivot to confirm that we're trying to break out in wave 3 of 3, as opposed to move up in the triangle and then back down in E. So once we find resolution in this area that we're in right now, whether it's to move directly higher and start wave 3 up, or to pull back in wave 2 of 3, or wave B, okay, there's a few options here. Once we get resolution on what's going to happen in this area, it'll give us a much clearer picture on what we're looking at moving forward, whether it is a bullish scenario where we run it up towards that 4,900 region, or a bearish scenario where we end up closing out this triangle at around 45.50 before starting a bigger wave 5 up. So that is what we are watching today. Guys, if you like the information that I put out in these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, you need to get in my Facebook group. There's a link down in the description. Go ahead and click that link and it will bring you over to Facebook. Now, to get into my group, you do have to get approved. And the only thing that I ask is you subscribe to my YouTube channel. So hit that subscribe button down below and come on over to Facebook and I'll get you in. And then once you're in, here's how you get the most out of my Facebook group. You click on this featured tab right here in the middle, and then you scroll down. And you'll see our documented trades, and this is everything we've traded since we've started the channel. And then you scroll down just a little bit further, and you see a link to my Slack channel. Now, Slack is just a free chat channel, and I am on there all day, giving out real-time market updates, giving out my buy and sell alerts, and answering all of your questions. It's an excellent group of traders, from the very talented to the very beginner, and it's an awesome place to learn or improve your trading. So come on over, guys, and let's make some money together. Okay, so key takeaways for today. We're looking for resolution at this pivot area. If it continues higher and breaks through and out of the pivot, then we are looking for this to be a wave 3 and continue to run toward our 1, 2, 3, 6 at 48.29. Further confirmation will come, okay, if we break the larger pivot, and that comes in on the larger scale, 1, 2. So from this 1 to this 2 down, the bigger 1, 2, okay, you measure that for your fib-based trend-based fib extension, and that 0.618 to 0.764 is the major market pivot, and above that, above the 0.764 at 47.11, and it is very likely we are off to the races in our wave 3 of 3 towards that 49.50 area. If, however, they are not able to break through directly out of the pivot, we would look for a pullback in either wave 2 down or wave B down, and then look to see how they rally from that pullback, whether it's going to be to complete D and then E in this triangle, or to start our wave 3 higher again towards this 48.29 area. All right, guys, that is the market update for today. I will talk to you tomorrow.